So I've got a question from Hollers again. Thanks for bringing in this question. And I'd love for everyone who's watching to comment as well. Give me some questions, topics you want me to talk about, and I'll happily answer them. So, question is, I am a heavier person who almost certainly should, quote unquote, lose weight to run. So here's my question. Should I lose weight first, then start running? Or is some running, with the risk of injury, part of an effective weight reduction strategy? It seems like it's a bit of a chicken and egg dilemma. This is a brilliant question, okay? Because a lot of people think, well, should I do cardio first? Should I do this first? Should I do that first before I start to run? Or should I lose weight first? Should I build some muscle first, etc.? Now, the answer is 100% not black and white, and it always comes down to it depends. And I know a lot of people hate this answer because they want the facts, they want it black and white. But as someone who did a master's in sports science, most things are not wrong and most things are not particularly right either. Most things do work. It's just a question of what is more optimal, what is more efficient for you. Now, there's definitely some things that are really wrong, like doing anything on a Bosu ball. No, jokes aside, there are times when you would use a Bosu ball, and I would say that for rehabilitation exercises, not a bad idea. If you, let's say, rolled your ankle or sprained your ankle, might not necessarily be a terrible idea to be supervised doing exercises on a Bosu ball to help improve your ankle mobility and strength and regain that. But in so saying that, I still think it's better just to not use the Bosu ball. But I digress. Point being is most things work. So technically speaking, both ways work. Now, however, I do believe in the idea that it's better to start whatever exercise it is first. Now, hear me out. A lot of people go, okay, well, if I'm overweight and if I start running, does that mean I'm much more likely to get injured because I'm heavier? Yes, but not if you do it appropriately and correctly. So a lot of people who are overweight might start running, which is awesome, and then they get told, well, you got to do a couch to 5K. You got to sign up for a 10K, a half marathon. Yeah, obviously you're going to get injured. That's why the statistics show 50% of runners get injured in a given year. And it's not because running is the issue. A lot of people love to pinpoint running as the problem, when, as a matter of fact, actually I did that 10 years ago. But upon closer understanding of the research, as well as understanding what sports science is, as well as running, if you load your programming correctly, you load the correct amount of weekly mileage, the correct amount of intensity, you are much less likely to get injured. Now, obviously, whatever sport you do, you're going to have a risk of injury. And unfortunately, yeah, you will incur those risks. However, I still think it's much more worth it to incur those risks than to incur the possible cancer risk, cardiovascular disease risk, bone-related disease risk that you incur from not exercising. And on top of that, when you exercise, you're also increasing the amount of good hormones that you secrete. So I highly, highly recommend doing exercise and incurring those risks. But you can really limit them by doing them appropriately. Like, for example, here's a statistic. Runners who increase their weekly mileage by more than 10% every week are much more likely to get injured than a sensible runner who only increases it by 10% or less per week. So if you're starting off with 10 kilometers a week, then only add one more for the next week, so on. Yes, it takes time. Yes, you need to be patient, but that's the name of the game. I see too many people when they first start running, okay, I'm gonna go run 3 times a week and I'm going to do 20 kilometers. Oh, well, I feel good this week, so I'm gonna add another 5. I'm gonna add another run. It's like, yeah, okay, give it 4 weeks from now, you're probably more likely to get injured. You're not gonna feel too good. Sorry, my alarm went off. So to answer this question, I personally would recommend still trying to go for a run. Now, I'm going to add something else, which is you don't have to run. A lot of people think, well, I need to run to lose weight. No, there's so many different modalities for cardiovascular exercise. You can go for a swim, you can go for a bike, you can go for a row. And these three modalities, in my opinion, are better for people who are overweight. Now, they're not as accessible, and that's why running is so easy to program and prescribe, because there's literally no reason for you not to run, because you just need to put on a pair of shoes and you can already go outside. Swimming, a little more difficult. Cycling, also difficult. And rowing as well. However, the common similarity amongst the three exercise modalities I just told you is that they support your body weight. So you don't have to worry about joint issues and whatnot. Like swimming is it's nearly impossible to get injured swimming. Cycling, you still have a risk because there's a lot of hip flexion. So doing this motion here. Rowing, also very unlikely. And what I really like about rowing and swimming is it works your posterior chain, i.e. the muscles on the back, so your glutes, your hamstrings, your back more. So if anything, I would go for one of those options. Now, why do people assume just because I do more cardio, I'm going to lose weight? That is not necessarily the case a lot of the time, and I'm going to explain this very simply. Let's say, for example, assuming I do no exercise at all and just rest, I burn 2,000 calories for the sake of this example. If I were to eat 2,500 calories, I'm going to gain roughly about a pound per week, because 3,500 calories equates to about a pound of fat. And vice versa, if I eat at a deficit, so if I only eat 1,500 calories, then I'm going to lose a pound a week, okay? So let's say my goal is to lose weight and I eat I burn 2,000 pounds doing nothing. And I manage to eat about 2,000 calories per day, per week. I'm not losing any weight. I get frustrated, so what do? I start adding runs or cardiovascular exercise to my weight loss program. And let's say I do a 1 hour run every day, hypothetically, okay? And I burn 500 calories in that given session per day, let's just say. Okay, now I burn 2,500 calories in a day. However, after that run, I end up getting so hungry that I end up eating 800 calories. Well, I've just put myself in a surplus of 300 and I end up gaining weight. Then by the end of a month, I go, what the heck? I've actually gained weight after running. What's going on? What's the problem? Isn't running meant to help me lose weight? Well, if you're eating more than you burn, no, I'm sorry. You might be healthier though, in terms of cardiovascular health. Your VO2 max might have gone up, your resting heart rate might have gone down, and that's really good. And I still always recommend that, but you have gained weight. So from a weight loss perspective, you have failed. From a cardiovascular health point of view though, you have not failed, you have succeeded. So this is why it's really important to understand why cardiovascular exercise might not necessarily be ideal for helping you lose weight. It's a great vehicle, but if you end up eating more than you burn, terrible. And here's an example from my own perspective, so y'all understand that you're not on your own boat, because I'm on the same boat. Before I started fasting, I have a massive appetite, and I was eating. So I started running about five months ago, and I remember I didn't fast, right? I just ate. And everyone said, well, if you run, you're probably gonna shave off the weight. And I thought the same thing, because I'm a big guy. When I run, even in 30 minutes, I'm probably burning 300-400 calories easily, because my runs are decently intense as well. But I just ended up being so hungry. I remember there was one day where I didn't stop eating for 8 hours, nonstop. Ended up getting pretty sick, and yeah, I attributed it to obviously poor sleep and eating poorly. And that's my point, is I ended up not only sick, I also gained weight too. So I ballooned up to 84, I believe, 84 kilos. Now I'm back down to 81.4. And I do recommend fasting personally. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, but I am a fan of it. It helps control insulin levels, and therefore it controls the ghrelin hormone, which is the hormone in the brain that signals, oh, I'm hungry, I'm not hungry. I'm just less hungry now. I still eat a lot, by the way. My appetite is still massive, but I eat it within a given window. But this is not the point of this video. The point being is you can add more cardio, but if you end up eating more, then you've just undone it. And if anything, made things worse. So the point is you have to find the right balance where you have to do just the right amount of cardio and it's not super intense where you end up being hungrier, but just the right amount where you reap the health benefits, but also not get crazy hungry. And what I've realized is that when I do more zone 2, I'm less likely to be hungrier. Whereas when I do more speed work, when I'm doing tempos, intervals, harder exercises, my body starts to crave for more fuel, which makes sense, right? So that's where I would say be careful with that, and it's important to work with a trainer who understands these things. But point of the video, and back to the final point, my conclusion is I would still start. I would still go for it anyway, because a lot of people think that from a mentality perspective, well, as long as I lose weight first, then I'll be a better runner. Yeah, but the problem is 90-something% of people don't succeed in weight loss. And I think a large issue is the mental side of things where they go, well, I'm just going to figure it out first, then do all the other stuff. No, oftentimes the ones who I see succeed are the ones who just start. They're just going to go, you know what, I'll try everything. I'll try to do more running. I'll try to do more cycling. I will try to fast. I'll try to do my diet. And I mean meaningfully, okay? Not just, okay, I'll try it for a week. Be consistent over 3-4 months. That's people who end up losing weight. And to be honest, it's very simple as well. Again, back to my old video, it's not complex. Weight loss is actually not complex, but it is difficult, but it's not complex. Don't fall for these marketing programs, these, quick fixes, supplements. Nah, none of that works. What works is healthy diet, good sleep, less stress, and more exercise. But that's the short summary of the video. I will see y'all in the next one. Sorry, I'm really thinking about work because I've got to head to work in a second. But the conclusion, Hollers, thanks for submitting the question. Just go for the run. Even if it means you're only running for 15, 20 minutes, easy runs, walking most of the time, it's still better than nothing because it builds that mindset. You're going to want to progress more. And what I loved about running is the endorphins I got, the dopamine hit after running. And I hope y'all can get it too. And this is something I found, for some reason, I only get in running and I can't explain why. But yeah, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope that was helpful, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.